Steel and Flame, Book 1 of the Guilds of Avlaan series is available on Amazon. If you like fluffy wolf-lolly protagonists and Japanese light novels, follow the link below to check it out.
Hello, Leonardo Cornejo here with another video. I had a different video planned for this month, but change of plans because something important happened and I want to talk about it. And I'm recording it in December, so odds are there might be new developments as the time passes. But it's this month's video, and it's my opinion on the matter. I'm also wondering if you will be interested in watching gameplay videos. I can't promise anything, but I will try to upload a few, depending on what you think. I'm interested in trying that in English. I have done it in Spanish, and I wonder if you will like it. Anyway, back to the video. I want to talk about the fact that no, seriously, I'm seeing the end of my career in my day job really close. I might end up losing my day job really soon, in maybe a year or more. Maybe in 5 years I will no longer have my day job. This is serious, and I find the situation extremely positive and acceptable because it's justice. It's happening because it must. My day job, for those who don't know, the main source of my income, and it's not my books. My books are not yet my main source of income, and it's not this channel. This channel is making me not a single cent. It's making no money. My main source of income is translation. I'm a translator, freelancer, working behind the scenes, often letting more experienced people take credit, uncredited in all my work, underpaid, but it's my fucking day job. It's my day job, even though I am underpaid. In general, translators in Mexico are underpaid anyway. I'm not one of those big shots in a global company. No, I'm some Mexican freelancer who works in translations behind the scenes. Nobody cares about me, and I'm going to get replaced by machines really soon. Maybe this year, maybe next year, maybe in 5 years. I'm going to get replaced by an artificial intelligence, and I find that acceptable, and I am actually satisfied with that result, despite it being extremely inconvenient to me and probably ruining my life. I seriously hope I can turn my books into my main income source by the time that happens, because it's really bad. It's really bad for me, but it is really necessary for everyone. And that's the point of this video. Coming to terms with the reality that I can't continue living like that because of other people. The problem is translators are getting replaced by A.Is, and the reason comes mostly from localizers. As you know, localizers, who I already talked a lot about it, are cultural parasites, cultural tapeworms, who have made a living out of altering the content, censoring the content, injecting their own ideology or rancid memes into the work they are supposed to translate. They are extremely unprofessional. They're extremely irresponsible and disrespectful. Because of that, people don't trust them. Localizers are considered among the most unreliable translators, and unreliable translators are the norm in the industry, unfortunately. Especially in some fields such as entertainment, where localizers are predominant. Translators are extremely unreliable. You can't trust them. I'm an English to Spanish, Spanish to English translator. As you know, I'm a native Spanish speaker. I speak English as my second language. I try my best to keep a good quality. I write in my second language as an author because I consider English a lot more prevalent than Spanish, and because my target demographic apparently is mostly capable of reading in English even if they are not native speakers. So I use English for business reasons, and I really like the language, even though I don't really like how modern agriculture is. Uh, Therefore, I know a lot about translation, and these biases are prevalent through history. Translators are not reliable, have never really been. There are many reasons why it is extremely justified to replace translators with artificial intelligence, and it's one of the reasons I studied translation. I didn't like the fact that this is back when I started studying it, when I was younger. Many times I noticed bad translations from English to Spanish in which someone included a false cognate mistranslated. For example, and there is not the same thing molest and molestar. They are different things. Molestar is bother is being making people uncomfortable. Molest is, you know what it is. It's a crime. Many times I noticed in crime dramas the mistranslation, the false cognate of translating molest as molestar. Crane, the bird, or the object, the claw-like object, is not cráneo. Cráneo is skull. Crane is grulla or grua, depending on the thing. Um, well, there was this translation. I watched it the very same day I started college. It was my very first day studying translation. I was getting ready while watching a documentary on dinosaurs, and they were talking about cranes, the birds, about similarities between the anatomy of some dinosaurs and cranes. And it was a dub in Spanish, because documentaries are dubbed in Spanish, on most cable TV channels here in Mexico. And they translated it as cráneos, skulls. These fucking idiots mistranslated false cognates, and that's a constant I saw repeatedly in on television on dubs here in Mexico. They constantly mistranslated false cognates, which is wrong, and it really, really irritates me. It bothers me a lot. That day I felt a calling. I'm not kidding, I felt a calling because I was getting ready for my first day and I was like, I'm taking the right path because I can change the standard. I couldn't. I failed. Therefore, an AI will replace me because that's the destiny of my failure. Because that's the price to pay for not fixing the problem, for being unable to fix it. Because I was alone and I couldn't fix it alone. The problem keeps growing, and localizers are particularly much worse because they don't limit themselves to false cognates. They don't limit themselves to mistakes or mistranslations. And trust me, an AI will not mistranslate false cognates because it will have a glossary and it will know what word to use. They won't mistranslate false cognates, which is a problem I saw repeatedly, which kept me motivated to continue translating. An AI will not make the mistakes that come from lack of experience, skill, or knowledge. The only thing an AI can fail at is context, which it can train to learn. But context is their main weakness, and it can improve and improve and improve. I knew eventually artificial intelligences would replace my job. I thought I had more time. I thought I had 5 to 10 years and not 1 to 5 years. I thought it would not be that fast, it would be slow, and it would be gradual. But because of these unprofessional people, it will be almost immediate. They have fucked us all over. They have taken our jobs. And yes, I'm making the joke, I'm making the reference. But these people took our jobs. It wasn't the machines, it was these people, these unprofessional idiots. They made themselves unemployed and made us unemployed. And the problem with localization is not exclusive to America. It's not exclusive to English speaking countries. It's happening everywhere. It's spreading everywhere. There were several controversies with the Spanish dub of Comisan Can't Communicate. In the Spanish dub, the Mexican Spanish dub in particular had two. One was the what they call inclusive language, which is basically all the pronoun bullshit, all the woke bullshit about pronouns and about using, for example, the Latinx is part of inclusive language. Since Spanish is a gendered language because of the influence of the Latin, we have male and female terms like, for example, niño is boy, well, child, male child. Niña is girl or female child, to be more precise. Um, Gato is cat, male or neutral, and gata is cat as a female. Well, the leftists found it sexist and they were bothered by it and decided to create a neutral, which is with the E. It would be gate. And it sucks and it shouldn't be used and it's grammatically incorrect and it was actually rejected by the Real Academia de la Lengua Española, which is the basically the authority in Spanish language, mostly in Spain but across the world. They also recognize terms from other countries. They had a bad reputation of being uptight, but let me tell you a little thing. They recognized U, yes, U, U, as a legitimate term of endearment, of cuteness, and as part of internet slang, while they rejected inclusive language. They rejected that. You can see it, for example, in this game Spider-Man 2, the one with Miles Morales, where they, in the Spanish dub, they have this conversation about le doctore don't know what. That's inclusive language. Is la doctora. It had to be like la doctora or el doctor if it is a male. But they use it because some people are gender fluid, some people are non-binary, all that bullshit. I fucking hate it. I actually hate anyone who identifies as non-binary, as gender neutral, as gender fluid, or as whatever. I hate them. I sincerely hate them. Because I consider them dangerously mentally ill. I consider them criminally insane. And I'm serious. I really don't like them. And I don't want involvement with them. And there is a reason why I have decided to use my work as a counter for the current culture, and I have sworn to never include any transgender character in my writing, and this is because I want to resist that, and because my work is aimed at teenagers and adults. I don't want them to be reading that bullshit. Back to what I was saying. I don't know if it was the Latin American or the Spain dub of Komi-san Can't Communicate, but one of them referred to this cross-dressing character Najimi with that inclusive language, with that neutral language. and that made many watchers uncomfortable because they know it's not official, it's not part of the source material, it's something the localizers decided, and it's happening in Mexico, in Latin America too. The other one is the inclusion of memes. People complain about that a lot here because they have started that back in the 90s and 80s. Dubs made in Mexico had many expressions and pop culture references only Mexicans understood. Before the internet, people just took it as the norm. When the internet arrived, people started to compare, to notice there was something off, and studios began to demand they follow the source material. During through the mid to late 2000s, up until recently, up until about 5 years ago maybe, that was changed. That was stopped. They were no longer allowed to inject pop culture reference from Mexico because in case people from other Latin American countries were watching, they were no longer allowed to include inside jokes and things like that. That bothered many translators and dubbing directors within the mainstream because they were used to that, which is wrong. It's something I didn't like from the industry. One of the other reasons I decided I had to be where I am at. The problem is they began to allow it again recently, and they began to add memes, Mexican memes, in the Spanish dubs, memes which were not in the source material. One of them is a recording used in Mexico. During editing, it should be heard here as part of the audio. If it is not there, it's because I didn't find it, but you can hear it, you might hear it. Well, there it is, and that meme, that sound was a pre-recorded advertising some people selling tamales here use, in particular Oaxacan tamales, which are different from the other tamales because they are wrapped in what is it, in banana leaf instead of um, of the corn husk. I find them disgusting, by the way. I don't like them. I don't like their flavor. I don't like their texture. They are disgusting. The thing is, that became a meme because many people selling Oaxacan tamales use it. That recording, they use it a lot. And in the Latin American dub of Komi-san Can't Communicate, there is a part in which the characters are here the sweet potato salesman, and they are going to buy sweet potatoes, and you hear this man singing a song of sweet potatoes, which is something common in Japan. They use it to sell roasted sweet potatoes. I don't really remember exactly how it goes, but in the Latin American dub, they changed the audio and include that meme. It's a meme because people joke about it because sometimes you can hear it in the most out of place situations because they go out and they go around on the street playing that advertising sound, and it even sometimes in some amateur videos it shows up because it's basically Mexican background noise and it has become a meme in Mexico. People joke about it. So someone in the dubbing studio decided to inject that joke into Komi-san can communicate, changed it from sweet potatoes to tamales, changed everything from sweet potatoes to tamales. Tamales are not common in Japan. Everyone watching knows it's Japan, which is a problem. And most importantly, Mexicans also have sweet potato salesmen. The only difference is in Japan they sell it, so they sell sweet potatoes roasted, and here they are steamed, often sold covered with something sweet to give them more flavor. I don't really like the texture. The taste is good, but I don't really like the texture of the steamed sweet potatoes. The thing is, they didn't really need it to make that change. They didn't need to inject that meme. It was just for the sake of the meme. They forced a Mexican meme, in a Japanese show. In a show set in Japan, not even set in some sort of fantasy world where things don't need to make sense. No. They injected a Mexican situation in a Japanese household. That's unforgivable. That's unprofessional. That's wrong. I actually get in conflict with many content creators here, with even my own friends and people I know who like anime and they like dubbing, because I criticize this. Because I say it is wrong and it shouldn't happen and it's unprofessional. But I will stand my ground and insist it's unprofessional, it shouldn't happen, it's wrong. The thing is, it keeps happening. They keep doing that. They keep on injecting these things out of place, they keep on forcing it upon us. They don't respect the source material at all. They don't respect authors at all. They don't respect you, audiences, at all. It's happening in Latin America, it's happening in Spain, it's happening in Spanish speaking countries, it's happening in English speaking countries, it's happening in German speaking countries, according to what I was told from German speaking people. This problem with localizers is universal. Everywhere it's happening. They inject their political ideology, they inject their own brand of sense of humor, and it's getting worse. It was bad enough, but back when, for example, Ted Woosley injected his own sense of humor in all squares of games. It was bad enough back then. It was bad enough when you were forced to censor nudity or religious symbols in games, in anime and manga. It was bad enough when 4 kids changed rice balls to jelly-filled donuts. And now it's happening again. Now in Mexico they are changing sweet potatoes to tamales. Now in America they inject the patriarchy in something that has nothing to do with the patriarchy in the source material. The vices of the past are getting worse, and therefore I failed at making a difference. Any translator who didn't want this to happen failed at making a difference. And as we failed our audiences, we will be replaced by artificial intelligence because of our incompetence. Because part of being incompetent includes being unable to make a difference. Being unable to fix a problem is incompetence. Because of that, because of our failure, we are all getting replaced by artificial intelligence. Because of these activists ruining everything for everyone, because of these localizers injecting their sense of humor or their ideology where it doesn't belong, because of people who can't stop mistranslating false cognates, we are all getting replaced by artificial intelligence. And if you are a translator, you need to face the truth. There is no way out of this. We are losing our jobs to this. I'm losing my day job to this. Maybe it's not tomorrow. Maybe it's not in 5 years. Maybe it's not in 1 year. Maybe it takes 20 years, but I am losing my day job to this. It's inevitable. And I think it's deserved. And I think it's fine. And I can live with that. And I actually support the AI. Because I couldn't oust all these people of the industry. I couldn't fix the industry from the inside. So now the outside will fix it by sacrificing me. And I am willing to take the price. I'm willing to pay the sacrifice because all miracles demand a sacrifice. And we need a miracle to fix this. The problem is perpetual. It hasn't changed. It has only gotten worse, more notable, more evidence, more evident. And it affects normal people now. But translation errors and malicious translations have caused a lot of harm through history. For example, one thing I learned in translation history, which is part of the courses we took as translators in college, is that back during the period of the, how do I say it, colonization of Mexico by Spain, there were translators. They called them nahuatlos. These translators were natives often, who understood both Spanish and the natives' language. They would often, for personal gains, lie to one or the other, telling them something different than what the other was saying. They worked as interpreters and translators and purposefully altered the writing or words of one or the or both parties, be it a transaction, be it an interaction, sometimes even creating diplomatic conflicts on purpose to increase the aggression between both sides. For example, let's say the Spaniards arrive asking the locals for trade, and this translator, this interpreter, hates both the natives and the Spaniards, and tells the natives, this guy says, if you don't give them your things, he will kill you all. And of course, the natives are not going to be precisely happy with that. But they are not stupid, and they know the conquistadors are willing to negotiate often, and they say, no, 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 tell him we are willing to sell them, to sell. We are not going to give him anything for free, but we are willing to trade and to sell. Which is exactly what the conquistador wanted. But this translator, as I said, hates both. And he will say something like, yeah, he says he wants to kill you. He doesn't want to trade, and he has decided you are giving them all your belongings. He's killing you and giving and taking everything from you. And therefore the interpreter would find conflict between both. Translators and interpreters have been doing this for centuries. They have been acting with incompetence and malice for centuries. Some misconceptions about ancient texts come from mistranslation. Translators and interpreters have been an embarrassment to society for centuries. Of course, we were trying to raise the bar to hold a higher standard, but leftists came in and began to inject their ideology on everything, and that includes our jobs. They have poisoned the world for everyone. They have poisoned the well for everyone who wants to work at translation, at interpreting, at localization, proper localization, not what they do. They have destroyed the industry single-handedly through their malice and incompetence. And now we are all getting replaced by artificial intelligence because of them. Because people who are unreliable and malicious became the norm in the industry. As a result, we are all getting replaced. We are all getting fired and replaced by machines. My only choice is, of course, offering even better services until I can no longer offer my services, offering offering copywriting or whatever I can offer to help the machine instead of resisting, and accepting that maybe someday the only things I will be translating are my own books and my own projects, which had been for a while another reason why I worked, why I studied translation. Because after looking at what people did with other people's works, I decided the only one I could trust with my work was myself. That's also why another one of the reasons, because I know some reliable Japanese translators, but one of the reasons why I haven't translated my work to Japanese yet, because the people I can trust are expensive and I can't trust many, and I don't know Japanese. I want to learn for that purpose too. The thing is, this is the consequence of those people ruining everything, of those people taking over. And I got no choice but to accept that reality and accept that I will be, eventually, unemployed because of them. They ruined it for everyone, not only for themselves, for everyone. And we are going all to pay the price. Because that's the only way to stop them. Because the only way to stop them is with that sacrifice. A sacrifice I am willing to make, even at my own expense, because I couldn't live with a how do I say it, with an unburdened conscience, knowing these people got away with polluting the work of someone else again. I am accepting being replaced by an AI. If that means stopping the evil that is polluting my hobbies. That's it for today. Have a good one.